Round number 8 of the 2017 season brings us New Smyrna Speedway in New Smyrna, Florida. Welcome to the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series, along with Mr. Brett Strickler and KR Stolfus. I'm Ryan Kent Jr. Brent, will start off with you a week back here in Florida with the pavement sprint cars. Here at New Smyrna, a lot different than what we saw last week at Five Flags, but pretty much the same cast of characters.
Pretty excited to be back here on the asphalt again here, Ryan. Proving that we've had some quality asphalt races up to this point, where the last two asphalt races, I believe, have only had one caution through 200 laps, and that was 2 races ago. So I think we're going to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel action here, and definitely going to be an interesting night for us.
Meanwhile, our pit reporter this evening, Mr. KR Stolfus, last week we saw what was an interesting race between Jason Brown and a winner 3 times this season, Dan Smith, but there's a guy that's been banging on the door of the points lead in Beau Breunig that's also a big-time threat to win coming in here tonight.
Beau Breunig is definitely a big guy to watch out for here in the pavement. Definitely a solid runner on dirt, but he's been bringing it together here on the pavement.
A lot of guys to watch and a lot of people that make our broadcast possible. We do want to thank all of our sponsors. Our presenting sponsor with the Spike Chassis JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series is Spike Chassis. They're located in Brownsburg, Indiana. Spike Chassis manufactures championship-winning open-wheel midget, wing, and non-wing sprint cars. In addition, Spike Chassis offers a large inventory of open-wheel parts, race car setup, fabrication, and machine shop services for all of your winning needs. You can check out #WinWithSpike or find them on the web at www.spikechassis.com. Another proud sponsor of the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series is Sam Pierce Chevrolet, where the best Chevy deals are in the country. You can visit sampiercechevrolet.com to check out their inventory. Kenny's Components specializes in design consultation, engineering, production, and custom fabrication to meet your exact specifications and needs. They use advanced composites such as carbon fiber, Kevlar, and fiberglass, and Kenny's is dedicated to building high-quality composite products for all types of racing machines. Find them on the web at www.kennyscomponents.com. The JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series runs on Hoosier Tires, and Hoosier Tire Midwest Incorporated is the largest Hoosier Tire racing distributor in the United States. They serve the entire Midwest through warehouses in Indianapolis and Plymouth, Indiana, along with Springfield, Illinois. From drag strips, road courses, and oval tracks, dirt and asphalt, sprint cars, midgets, late models, and even street cars, Hoosier Tire Midwest has winning tires for all of your needs. Check them out on the web today at www.racetires.com. Cars wrapping up practice here at the New Smyrna Speedway, round number 8 of the 2017 season about to get underway. Fellas, we were talking about it already. It's crazy that we're a week away from Christmas, and then we get already into what would be the 2018 season. It's funny how this season has already flown by.
Funny to think about that we're a week away from Christmas here, Ryan. We are going to be off next week due to Christmas being on the Monday of which this race is usually run, and we will return the following week to near back to the dirt, back to my specialty. So that'll be fun for me to talk about. And so after this race, we will be off next week for Christmas and back January 1st on Monday.
We'll be back that week at Lanier on the dirt on January the 1st on New Year's Day. So if everybody's out partying too hard, they're going to have to get back and get back behind the wheel of a dirt sprint car. Then we go stay on the dirt to Volusia. We've got a week off before we wrap it up at Iowa and Lucas Oil on January 22nd and the 29th for rounds 11 and 12 here of the 2017 into the 2018 Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series. And our series points leader, Beau Breunig, we talked about him being a threat to win. Tonight, he's not even going to have an opportunity to. He's not even on the premises, as his car was not even showed up into taking any practice laps, any qualifying. Could be an opportunity for some of the guys behind him in the point standings. that can hop up and take away a big-time points lead of his.
With Breunig out of the picture now, it's going to be quite the interesting event tonight. We might see a mix-up at the top position as we're getting ready to roll off for qualifying here. I believe the 83 of Dan Holmes will be the first car on the Speedway. We're getting a little bit of organization right now as they are lining up at the end of the pit road exit. KR, you got any word for us down there? What to look out for?
It is absolute pandemonium down here in the pits because they all saw me coming. They jumped in their cars and did not want to do an interview. So that's why we got people sitting in their cars waiting to go out this early.
Well, David Flick will be first to roll out onto the Speedway in his number 56 machine. And if you've been around the USAC ranks, and what's a Foxco looking 56? He's from Livingston, Montana, and he pilots that 56 machine. He's on the clock first. Our qualifying order is determined by the reverse of the practice times. And so he will be on the clock here first for qualifying. His first lap in qualifying is a 16.195 on lap number 1. Each of these guys have 2 qualifying laps here around New Smyrna. His second lap as he rolls on the bottom side turn 3 and 4 and across the pink and black stripe on lap number 2 appears to be invalidated as he caught a little bit of the wall. Tough break there for David Fleck. He'll be a 16.195. Give away to our second qualifier, Mr. Brett Strickler.
Taking the green flag and driving it down into 1 and 2. This is the number 83 of Dan Holmes. Off of turn number 4, lap 1, the number 83 Dan Holmes coming across at a 16.297.16.297. Second quick, just about a tenth slower than David Flick. That Schmidt-Beer Chevrolet Spike chassis, red number 83, looks to improve his lap time on lap number 2 as he crosses the stripe, and he will edge David Flick by 0.06 of a second. He will be on top of the leaderboard thus far.
Car up next to qualify. From Rochester, New York, he pilots the Loco Toco Designs, Core Life Erie, Guitars for Glory, Staggered Motorsports, Double Clutch, Who's a Racing Tire, Kinney's Components sponsored number 9. Here's Alex Oriens. Alex clocking in his fastest practice time at a 15.8. His first qualifying lap at a 16.045 takes him to the top of the board. 2-3 qualifiers so far for Alex Oriens. Comes in tonight 7th in the series point standings off of turn number 4. His second lap as he slides and flips on the front straightaway is not going to be any better. A 16.045 for Alex Oriens.
Exiting turn number 4 now, looking to take the green flag on lap number 1. This is your current 10th place in points driver, driving the number 44 out of Salisbury, North Carolina, the Napa Auto Parts, Rockwell Auto and Tractor Parts, Jeffrey's Toy Closet, Farlow Motorsports. This is Jeffrey Stanton. Jeffrey Stanton crosses the stripe for lap number 1, and he is quick time. He crosses the stripe with the first sub 16-second lap at a 15.881.15.881. Jeffrey Stanton 0.2 quicker than the rest of the field so far as he looks to complete lap number 2, and he is faster on lap number 2 than he is on lap number 1 with a 57.83. Jeffrey Stanton with a 0.3 advantage over Alex Oriens in second place.
Up next, pilot of the number 12 from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Spike chassis, double clutch, J Skins Racing Graphics. Kinney's Components, number 12. Here's Jason Brown. Jason, 4th quickest in the practice. And in qualifying so far, he's 3rd at a 16.057 for the number 12 of Jason Brown. Jason, a threat to win on the pavement, yet to grab a win so far this year. Looks to change it. He wants to start towards the front. His second lap goes to second quickest at a 15.935. Seats him second quick through our 5 qualifiers so far. 3 more to go, Brett.
On the Speedway now, driving that black and red USAC Racing Bell Helmets, number 7, out of Kokomo, Indiana. This is Rich Foreman. Lap number 1 coming in for Rich Foreman. Oh, got a little loose on the exit of 4 there. That's going to hurt his lap time. He will come across 4th quick with a 16:067. 1:6067. 4th quick for Rich Foreman. Gotta wonder what that lap time might have been if the wheels didn't come out from underneath of him. As lap number 2 is much slower at a 16:7. He will remain 4th quick thus far.
He sits second in our series point standings, and with our championship leader not here tonight, here's Jim Vig, and he's going to have an opportunity to take the points lead outright here tonight. Jim comes to us from Piscataway, New Jersey, in the Advanced Auto Parts, Coca-Cola, M&M's, Area Auto Racing Parts, Spike Chassis, number 17. Jim Vig works off turn number 4 here on his qualifying effort, goes to 3rd quickest, quick out of the box at a 15.983. Haven't seen too many guys dive into the 15-second bracket on their first lap. See what he can do as he apexes off at turn number 4 towards the stripe for his 2nd qualifying lap, and he's 2nd quick at a 15.885 for Jim Vig. See what Dan Smith has coming up here, Brett, our final qualifier.
Our final qualifier on the speedway now in that new black paint scheme, sponsored by Team VLR, Double Clutch, Barney Farms, Spike Chassis. This is your 3-time asphalt feature winner with the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series this season. The number 47 out of Carbondale in Illinois is Dan Smith. Off of turn number 4 for lap number 1, the threat to win every night on asphalt. He is quick time, 15.72415.724. Quick time for the number 47 of Dan Smith. The threat every night on asphalt looks to improve lap number 2, and he does by 100th of a second. He goes in at a 15.715. Dan Smith, quickest so far, and I believe that's through the entire field. He will be our quick time trial through the evening. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying. Looking like another dominant Dan Smith performance here with us tonight, Ryan.
So your final qualifying rundown order: Dan Smith will be on the pole, Jeffrey Stanton to his outside in 2nd. Row 2 will consist of Jim Vig and Jason Brown. Alex Oriens comes home in 5th with Rich Foreman in 6th. And Dan Holmes and David Flick round out row number 4 and positions 7 and 8. Those 8 gentlemen will make up tonight's field for 100 laps here at New Smyrna Speedway. Moments away from getting underway. KR Stolfus, what's the buzz in the pit area?
Man, I tell you what, guys. I went and got a hot dog, and I missed the qualifying except for Dan Smith lap. That thing was electrifying. It heated up my hot dog, and it burst in my hands.
Always rely on you there, KR.
KR, I'm going to ask you, did you get any nuts while you were down there? Did they have any good roasted peanuts?
They just had walnuts, and I'm not a big fan of walnuts. They're too big.
I think KR's a little nuts himself, so I think he's got that taken care of.
KR is not a big fan of his nuts. Anyways, let's get underway with our starting lineup for tonight's feature event. Your front row starters in car 47 comes to us from Carbondale, Illinois, the Team VLR Double Clutch. Barney Farm Spike Chassis number 47 is Dan Smith, and to his outside in car number 44. That's the machine of Jeffrey Stanton in car number 44. He'll be starting in the 2nd position. From Salisbury, North Carolina, the Napa Rockwell Auto and Tractor Parts, Farlow Motorsports, number 44 of Jeffrey Stanton starts 2nd.
Starting P3 inside row number 2. He sits 2nd in points, and with the leader not here tonight, has a great opportunity to take over that top spot. He pilots the Advanced Auto Parts, Coca-Cola, Spike Chassis, M&M, Area Auto Racing Parts out of Piscataway, New Jersey, the 17 of Jim Vig. Starting to his outside in the 4th position, driving the Spike Chassis Double Clutch, J Skins Racing Graphics, Kenny's Components, number 12 out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. This is Jason Brown.
Row number 3 on the inside, car number 9. Out of Rochester, New York, the Locotoco Designs, Cool Life Eatery, Guitars for Glory. Sponsor number 9 is Alex Oriens. He'll start 5th to his outside. From Kokomo, Indiana, the USAC Racing Bell Helmets, number 7 is Rich Foreman.
Bringing up the field in row number 4, driving the number 83, the Schmidt-Beer Chevrolet Spike Chassis out of Califron, New Jersey. This is Dan Holmes. Starting 8th in your final position for tonight's 100-lap event is the Foxco number 56 out of Livingston, Montana. This is David Flick.
Green, green, green.
Dan Smith and Jeffrey Stanton on your front row. The flag flies. We're underway for 100 laps here at New Smyrna. Dan Smith going to be your leader off of turn number 4. As he'll work his way into turn 1 and 2. A couple of car lengths to lead over Jeffrey Stanton. Not a good start for Jim Vig as he started in 3rd, already back to 5th. You look on board here with Jeffrey Stanton, can see what he sees in his number 44 machine.
100 laps is a long way around this racetrack, but Jeffrey Stanton's got to keep his eyes set on the prize and not let Dan Smith walk away on the field here. Dan Smith is known for having a stout car 100 laps of the race and use it when he wants it. Jeffrey's going to need to keep that gap close so that he can make a pounce at the right time.
And we do not really want to know what Dan Smith does with all of his free time, but we do know with part of his free time that he does spend at least some of it here on iRacing and practicing and making some long stretch runs. He gets his setups dialed in so that towards the end that he's, in his mind at least, just about as good as he is in the beginning.
Already seeing Dan Smith power under the hood as he's gapped Jeffrey Stanton, your second quick in time. Jeffrey Stanton is now half a second back off of the 47 machine. That's been steadily increasing. We're only 7 or 8 laps into this event, but this is how Dan Smith makes his money. He slowly chips away, makes things a whole lot tougher for the rest of the field.
Dan Smith started on the pole, he leads. Jeffrey Stanton started right beside him, he sits second. Jason Brown started in 4th, he runs in 3rd. Alex Oriens has also moved up a spot from his 5th starting spot, he runs 4th. And Jim Vig started in 3rd, he runs 5th right now. Those are your top 5. As we work towards lap number 10.
All cars relatively spread out. Looks like we're going to have a good bit of racing, clean laps. We're going to see whose car is better early, whose car is better late. And who knows when to make the right moves. As I looks like the commentator's curse already. I'm watching this of Dan Smith, and it's back to 310s. So both cars are equally fast here to start. It's just a matter of who hits the marks when they need to.
And Dan Smith is always oh so smooth around any kind of a racetrack. And this new Smyrna Speedway, got to take a couple laps on it before I hopped up here in the booth tonight. But it's a little bit different than Five Flags. I'm not sure, Brett, if you were able to hop in a car and take some laps around here, but it's quite a bit different than Five Flags last week. And then you go back to our last pavement race before that in Irwindale, 3 really, really different racetracks. And from here, then we go to Iowa, and then we wrap it all up at IRP. It's there's a lot of different kind of racetracks, and shows the versatility of these drivers.
Yeah, Ryan, I tried driving one of these cars around Irwindale, and I struggled really, really hard. I even watched real-life videos of how the guys drove the track and see if I could convert it a little bit, and it was just a hassle. I'll tell you what, I'd like to stick to dirt.
That's exactly where we will be next week, as I mentioned before. Lanier. A lot of guys have been excited about that one. I'm looking forward to seeing some multi-grooves. Guys being able to rail up top and work around the bottom. Be kind of fun to be in an on-wing sprint car. Maybe you and I have to hop in a little bit and see what it's like to wheel around as well.
Might have to put a show on in the qualifier sessions.
Absolutely. Want to tune in for those for sure. Dan Smith is your leader right now. Pretty much nobody moving forward or anywhere for that matter. And Dan's only, well, probably about 5 or 6 laps away from getting into lap traffic already. It's that 56 machine of David Flick. about 10 seconds behind Dan. Lap times here right around 15, 16 seconds. Pace a little bit slower due to here in the race, but Dan Smith is setting one torrid pace so far here early.
The closest battle we have for on Speedway right now appears to be around the 5th position. Cars 5, 6, and 7 are all within a second of each other, and one of those cars is our 3rd place in points, Dan Holmes. He sits 54 points back off the race lead. With Breunig not here, Dan Holmes also might gain a position, is very likely, and he might even take the points lead if he gets a better result tonight than Jim Vig.
Your updated points coming into tonight. Our points leader, Beau Breunig, not here. And Jim Vig holds only an 8-point lead over Dan Holmes. Dan Holmes currently running a spot behind Vig. Then it goes back to Bruce Jones. Ray Farlow also not here. Bruce Jones not here either. So pretty much this one going to decide who's going to be your champion between either Jim Vig or Dan Holmes. It's going to be one of those two as you ride on board with Holmes.
Riding on board with the 83 machine, you get a good look of how these cars really react going into the corner. If you listen closely, you can hear the tires sliding out. Underneath of them, you might hear a little bit of tire squealing. That could be a result of tire wear, driving the car a little too hard. We are about to cross lap 24 into lap 25, which would put us a quarter of the way through tonight's event. But there's still a lot of work left to be done for Jim Vig and Dan Holmes, as they looks like they're closing in on battling for the 5th position as Dan is closing into that 17's bumper. Most more than likely than not, if I said that correctly, whoever finishes higher between these two guys is likely to take the points lead after tonight due to Beau Brunig's absence.
And from those two all back, it's a wide open gap. Dan Holmes is 54 points behind Beau Breunig, and then back from him, Bruce Jones is 250 points behind Dan Holmes. So it's either going to be Jim Vig or Dan Holmes, and you know, Brett, that with still some rounds to go here, what would be after this with 4 rounds to go, that those two guys know pretty much what they have to do to try to clinch up a title.
Yeah, we have 4 rounds remaining. Looks like 2 of which will come on dirt and 2 of which will come on asphalt. The preceding 2 weeks after the next week's off week for Christmas will be Lanier and Volusia, 2 straight dirt weeks. Then we'll have another off week on January 15th, preceded by 2 final asphalt races, rounds 11 and rounds 12, January 22nd and 29th at Iowa and Lucas Oil. So we got half and half remaining on the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series schedule between dirt and asphalt.
Dan Smith's lead opening up to over a second. KR Stolfus has something down in the pit area, KR.
I just was noticing Dan Holmes was really getting a very good run from the middle of the corner on out. And that's what he did there to get by Jim Vig.
So with that pass, we might have a mix-up in the top of the point standings. If it were to end the way we are now, it would be very likely that Dan Holmes could pass Jim Vig and Beau Breunig for the top of the points standings, as Dan Holmes has passed 2 cars and cracked the top 5. Also, while we were talking around, we did have 1 car go a lap down. That is the 56 of He is 1 lap down, and Dan Smith is closing in on lapping another car, the 7 of Rich Foreman. He's still got about a 4-second gap to get to his bumper. But we're looking at going through lap traffic now for Dan Smith, Jeffrey Stanton, and Jason Brown.
So Dan Smith is your leader. Jeffrey Stanton rides around in second. Jason Brown in third. Alex Oriens in fourth. Dan Holmes in fifth. And really, only Smith, Stanton, and Brown have been able to break away. I would not put it past that Dan Smith could lap everybody up until probably about third. And from there on back, it's going to be a battle behind them for who's going to be in second, because Dan Smith is running away with this one, only challenge so far, so Jeffrey Stanton.
I think for the distance here, Ryan, we might have a late challenge by Stanton. Let's not forget that the top two drivers, Dan Smith and Jeffrey Stanton, if I go back and look at the result, are the only winners on asphalt this season. 3 wins coming for Dan Smith in that Barney's Farm machine, and 1 coming for Jeffrey Stanton in that Napa Auto Parts machine at Phoenix. Dan's wins at Lucas Oil, Irwindale, and 5 Flags last week. Looking to go back-to-back in that number 47 machine.
See what Dan Holmes is seeing right now as he looks towards Alex, don't call me Oreo, Alex Oriens. And if we get Alex Oriens in the middle of that, we can have an Oreo around Oreo himself.
That made me hungry for Oreos here, Ryan.
If this race rather was 200 laps, like the Indianapolis 500, then he could go dip in some milk. And Alex Oriens just took a ride down the back straightaway. My goodness, Alex Oriens.
He's still rolling.
He dumped it in a glass of milk right there.
Oh my. That car is rolling away, so that is a good sign, but man, was that a ride.
And he's still rolling through. Now he's going to take it into the pit area. My goodness, Alex Oriens, just as we were talking about him. Maybe he could hear us and the pressure was on. He whacked the wall coming out of turn 2 down the back straightaway, rode that thing like a fair-style donkey, and he's going to head to the pit area.
Not so sure that car wasn't fading on him before that, though, Ryan, because it did seem like Jim Vig and Dan Holmes were closing in on that 9 machine relatively quickly. Car may have been set up a little early for that 9 machine, and he was fading as it looks like he's got his repairs and he's rolling off the pit road now. He will come back out in the 8th position. I believe here with the iRacing Motorsports Simulation, we do allow 1 fast repair on the evening. So for the time being, under yellow flag, let's go ahead and take a run through our lineup the way it stands. Out front, which had over a second lead, was the 47 of Dan Smith. Behind him was the 44 of Jeffrey Stanton. Gives him a chance to close in on Dan Smith and possibly give him a run for his money here. We're about halfway. We're crossing the line for... We're going to go green about lap 49, so we got half the race down and half the race to go. That'll give Stanton a chance to close in on that bumper, with Jason Brown coming in 3rd. And Holmes, from his 7th starting spot, is up to 4th. Your 2nd place in points and battling for the points lead tonight, Jim Vig, started 3rd. He has fell back to 5th. Starting 6th and currently running 6th is the 7 of Rich Foreman. A lap down in your 7th position, starting in 8th, was the 56 of Dave Flick. And behind him was the reason for the yellow flag, Alex Oriens, getting out of shape and upside down the backstretch. He is scored 2 laps down, and he will restart from the tail end of the field. So he's got his work cut out for him to at least get 1, maybe 2 laps back. Who knows? Dan Smith is on a rails right now, so it's going to be a little difficult to even get 1 of those back. Lights are out on the pace car. We look to go this time by cars 2x2. Actually, that might be a lie. I believe it's single file restarts. nose to tail, rather, rolling into turns 3 and 4. The pace car lights out, looking to dive off of the speedway on the exit of turn number 4. With about half of the race left to go, we're looking to get back to green flag, and it is flying Dan Smith off the line and looking to open a gap once more. Give lap number 1 restart to Dan Smith. He opened up a 3/10 of a second lead. Got a nice jump on that 44 machine, but this might be the only chance that 44 has of closing the gap and contending for a win, as Dan Smith is a really, really, really strong car here at New Smyrna. Take a minute to jump down to our pit reporter there, KR. Have you had a chance to talk to anybody's crew chief, get in their ears, see what anybody had to say about their race cars yet tonight?
I talked with Dan Smith, his crew chief, and Dan and his crew chief are getting along very well tonight, as you might imagine. Dan's saying his car is doing everything he would like it to do. This is not one of Dan's favorite tracks, but they seem to have found something over everyone else tonight.
I say you can't be complaining with the lead that he has in the car that he has. He's definitely going to have to turn this track from one of his least favorites to the top of his favorites.
Dan Smith, your leader, holding half a second the lead over Jeffrey Stanton right now. And Jason Brown, let's talk about Jason Brown for a little bit. He wants to talk about him, as we all know. But here, just past the halfway mark, this seems to be the point where it's always been about 5 to 10 laps from now that either one of those two, whoever is leading, will start to just fade a little bit when we start to get comfortable. I'm curious if that caution changes that a little bit.
As you mentioned that caution there, Ryan, Alex Oriens was the cause of the yellow flag. He started at the tail end of the field. He is 2 laps down, but he is up behind the green machine, who is running 4th. It looks like he is on a mission to try and get a lap back. As this time by, he will close the gap on that shooting machine just a hair. May contend to pass another car and look to get a lap back. May have also gotten some fresh tires for that pit stop. But nonetheless, out front, the dominant performer on the night. Quickest in practice with a 15.731 and fastest in qualifying with a 15.715. He holds a nearly 9/10 of a second advantage over Jeffrey Stanton in second place. Dan Smith being the cream of the crop, dominating tonight's field. With that yellow flag, did not shake him up one bit.
Now lead right now for Dan Smith, just under a second over the 44 machine of Jeffrey Stanton. Jason Brown still riding around in 3rd, with Dan Holmes and Jim Vig 4th and 5th.
The cars are scored on the lead lap of the 8 cars in tonight's field, but only one of them has led from the start, and that is the 47 of Dan Smith, as we are 64 laps in, 36 to go. Does Jeffrey Stanton in that Napa Auto Parts blue and yellow number 44 machine have anything for tonight's race leader? You know, Ryan, I'm going to speculate here a little bit. You remember going back to Phoenix, Dan and Jason, 2 teammates, got together on that one restart. Let's speculate a little bit here. Do you think Dan could have been undefeated on asphalt so far had that restart not happened?
I'd say it's hard to argue against him because, and if you remember, it was one of Dan's big mistakes. But I think Dan's also caught a couple of breaks. You know, there's been some times where he's been sitting around in second, and he will kind of get a little bit maybe lucky for say with either Jason or Dan. One of them will make a small mistake, and the other one says, "Well, maybe I should have won." But so far this year, Dan Smith's been dominating, and like you said, it's pretty daggone close that he could have a clean sweep on the pavement.
We've had almost 2 dominant drivers, one asphalt, one dirt. Your dirt driver being Beau Breunig, who's not with us. He has 2 wins on dirt this season, coming at Williams Grove and Eldora. Oh, my apologies. He has 3 wins on the season. He has swept the dirt events so far, coming at USA on October 30th, November 13th at Eldora, and most recently the November 27th post-Turkey Day race at Williams Grove. So he does have the potential sweep ability for all dirt races. However, Dan, on the other hand, has won all but 1, and that other win conceding to Jeffrey Stanton at Phoenix International Raceway on November 6th.
Jason Brown a couple of laps ago. Most of the time these guys are riding laps right around.
Oh, Ryan, I don't mean to cut in on you, but we have a car around in the front stretch. It looks like it's the 9 of Alex Oriens once again. Came off of turn number 4 and broke loose. It looks like maybe driving that car a little hard, trying to gain a round.
So we do have a yellow on the speedway.
Very, very, very rough night for the number 9 at Alex Oriens. That also might do it for him as he looks to send it to the pit area.
So that changes things right near the 3/4 mark of this race. Another yellow flag flies for the second time, Alex Oriens. Bringing out your yellow.
I just talked with Alex down here in the pits, and in a completely made-up story, he said he had to go to the bathroom.
I don't know, KR. Might need to make up a little bit better of a story than that one. All we heard up here was crickets.
Crickets with a capital C, my friends. And now this changes another thing. Do you think, we've seen some times this year, and if you look at the results right now, we've only got a handful of guys even on the lead lap. If you're sitting in 4th or 5th with this few laps left, do you come in, get new tires, go to 4th or 5th or 6th, and try to make a charge forward? We've seen Jason Brown do it.
I'm not against that thought there, Ryan. I think it might be a good move for some guys. Jason Brown, particularly as one of them, he's been sitting in 3rd the whole race and not gaining on positions 1 and 2. So that might not be the worst idea in the world for Jason, but it looks like he's going to miss the pit area. Would have liked to seen at least one guy make that decision, and I think Rich Foreman did back in 6th.
Yeah, Rich was the last car on the lead lap. So why not? Come in, get some fresh Hoosier rubber, head back out there.
Keeping an eye on your battle once more. Dan Holmes still in 4th position over Jim Vig. Potential change for the top spot here tonight. Who is going to end up getting your points lead at the conclusion of tonight's 100-lap event? Lights are out on the pace car. We look to go this time by Dan Smith, and that 47 machine is your leader. Jeffrey Stanton second, Jason Brown, Dan Holmes, Jim Vig rounds out your top 5.
Cars roll down the back straightaway. Dan Smith, your leader. Jeffrey Stanton, Jason Brown, and Dan Holmes follow. Jim Vig sitting there in 5th. Off of turn number 4, back to green here in New Smyrna. This is lap number 79. We'll work lap 80 next time by. Stanton rolling to the bottom side of the speedway. We have yet to see anybody even get to the back bumper of Dan Smith. That's how good he's been so far. My goodness, hold on, Jeffrey Stanton. About to do a little bit of off-road trucking in the middle of the turns 1 and 2. That allows Jason Brown to get to his inside. We've got a change for the second position. Jason Brown up to that second spot.
Yeah, it looks like Stanton was really pushing hard to make an effort at Dan Smith. Nicked the grass going into turn number 1, got the car out of shape, sent him up the banking. Gave the door opening to the number 12, Jason Brown, but Stanton is not quitting as he's peeking to the outside of him. It all a little loose, keeps the car under himself. Dan Holmes peeking out for the 3rd spot on Stanton. Trying to put another car between him and Vig, maybe aid his takeover of the points tonight.
That allows Dan Smith to open up his lead to just over a second over Jason Brown. Stanton in 3rd, with Holmes and Vig still sitting back there. Rich Foreman still sits in that 6th spot. David Flick still rolling around. He is a lap down, but he sits in 7th. Alex Orion's going to have a DNF. About 15 laps to go. Here's your work 85.
That number 7 machine of Rich Foreman doesn't look too bad on fresh rubbers. He is all over that gas tank of the number 17 Vig. That could be crucial if Foreman is able to pass Vig. That'll give Dan Holmes a little bit more of a points jump.
You know, Brett, I think the most amazing words that have come out of your mouth yet, the time that I've got to work with you, just came out. You just called that a gas tank.
You know what? It's all under the same category. Don't pick on me when you've heard KR talking.
Whoa! I have never called him a gas tank. All right.
That is filled with methanol, my friends.
What kind of pit reporter takes the qualifying off to get a hot dog?
But I was hungry.
Hey, I can attest that the Williams Grove Speedway has great hot dogs, as I did have those in person this year. Good, some really good food in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'll tell you what,
Sure,
on the
some really
backstretch
good
at Williams
food.
Grove, if you go down there behind the bridge, they sell buffalo chicken bites in a little white shack. That's my favorite. Probably my favorite food from any local speedway around here, because I live in central Pennsylvania. I'm there almost every weekend.
Well, and as some people may know, Brett is a race car driver, but he doesn't gets to eat a lot of food because he doesn't make many features. So he's after the heat, he's out. He gets to eat a lot of track.
Hey, now I didn't get to race many features because I had to have surgery at the beginning of the summer.
Inside 10 laps to go. Dan Smith, your leader. His lead is almost 2 seconds over Jason Brown. Dan Smith on cruise control here in this one.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't think anybody has anything for that 47 machine, barring another caution. I think Dan's going to run this one out. His 2 teammates might even get a 1-2 finish once again.
Dan Smith working here on lap number 93. The Carbondale, Illinois native, who's driven some modifieds and some things like that in the real world on dirt. He's pretty daggone good on the pavement.
We do have a pass for the 5th position there, Ryan. Rich Foreman has passed Jim Vig. That will open up a little bit of the point gap if the result stays the way it is for Dan Holmes. Dan Holmes might take over tonight's point lead with the absence of Beau Breunig. Here now you're getting a look at the onboard shot of the 44 machine as he is riding around behind the 12 of Jason Brown. Car a little squirrely there down the front stretch. He's pushing that car extra hard, trying to get into second position. He gets a little loose off of 4. That gives Dan Holmes the opportunity to close onto that tail tank. What you're seeing now, and Dan Smith that on cruise control as he comes through 3 and 4 to the white flag. He will have one more lap around the speedway to claim his second straight win, and I believe 4th on the season. White flag out on the 47 machine on cruise control and has been all night. He's led since the start. Started on the pole, fastest in qualifying, fastest in practice. That number 47 machine, the Carbondale, Illinois native, is a 4-time Pit Auto Spike Chassis Series winner this season. Coming across second, his teammate, the number 12 of Jason Brown, followed by the 44 of Jeffrey Stanton, rounding out your podium finishers.
Man, what a dominating performance for Dan Smith. Nothing else you can really say. Nobody got to the tail tank of him. It's a heck of a show and a heck of a finish. He held off a couple of restarts. Dan Smith comes away victorious here at New Smyrna Speedway. And now let's send it down to our pit reporter, Mr. KR Stolfus, is going to grab a word with him.
Get your hand off my ass, KR.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That wasn't me.
How you doing tonight, brother?
Well, congratulations, Dan Smith, on your victory. Once again, you are proving to be the dominant car here on asphalt. Tell us how you're doing it.
Man, I don't know. Huge shout out once again to JCE Suspension Works. Right before we run the qualifier race, I was sent a few changes to make and made all the difference in the world in that race, man. But I don't know what's going on. Somebody pinch me and wake me up, KR, because you know this is about impossible, especially 100-lap races, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, you're saying it's impossible, but I do not believe that because you've made it, what, 4 out of 5 races now?
Yeah, 4 out of 5, man. I'm telling you now. I was doing some testing earlier today, Beau Breunig, and if he'd have been able to make the show tonight, he was going to be tough. But Jeffrey Stanton, man, how about Jeffrey Stanton showing up to race tonight, putting down a solid run, man? Anytime you see that 44 car in the pits, you know you got your work cut out for you.
Congratulations,
There's
Dan.
your winner here tonight, and Mr. Dan Smith. Congratulations on another win. Hopefully we'll, I'm not sure if you're going to try out the whole dirt thing, but I know that we'll be seeing you at Iowa and for our season finale as well.
Yeah, I've been working on the dirt stuff real quick. I know you guys got other interviews to do. Big shout out to Jay Skins, Sam Pierce Chevrolet, Double Clutch, Hoosier Tire Midwest, Kenny's Components, and JCE Suspension Works, man, Barney's Farm. All you guys in the booth, man, we're nailing this thing. And thanks for sticking around all season long. Quality over quantity. Remember that, my brothers.
Absolutely. We've had some quality racing, and maybe some of his components wish that his components, I'm thinking Kenny's Components, maybe some of his competitors, rather, would wish that Dan Smith's driving quality wasn't quite as high so they could catch up to him, but he's been a show so far, absolute dominance, and he picks up win number 4. Let's chat with our second place finisher in Jason Brown. Jason, I've got to ask you a question. We talked during the broadcast about there was a time earlier this year that you took fresh rubber late in the race on that lap 74 caution. Did you think about that at all, considering there were 6 guys on the lead lap, although you were riding in second, to have a chance at all to try to clinch down this win?
Absolutely. It was a miscommunication between me and the team with getting down to pit road. We were looking at it, and it didn't pan out. I think if we had, we might have had the car to beat, but that's the way stuff goes sometimes.
Overall, not a bad run for you to come out here. You start in the 4th spot. Anything that you were really displeased with in terms of qualifying?
I missed my marks. For whatever reason, didn't have my head straight and totally screwed that all up. But 100-lap race qualifying is not as important when you got so many laps to make it up. It is nice to start ahead of the faster cars, though, on tracks like this, because just like last week at Five Flags, if you can hold that bottom line, it really makes the guys work for it to get around you on the outside, even if they're maybe a tenth or two quicker.
I'm sure a lot of people that you would like to thank that make your efforts possible.
Sure, I'd like to thank Spike Chassis, first and foremost, Double Clutch, Kenny's Components, Hoosier Tire Midwest, Dan Smith, my teammate, Beau Breunig, you guys here with JMS Broadcasting, and everybody who's tuning in on Facebook or wherever else they might be catching our broadcast. I want to thank all of them.
As your second place finisher in Mr. Jason Brown, Brett Strickler, you've caught up with our third place finisher in Jeffrey Stanton.
I have the number 44 of Jeffrey Stanton here with us in the booth as well. Jeffrey, podium finish here for you. You started second, you finished third. Overall, not a bad night. Did you feel like you had anything for that 47 machine of Dan Smith?
Yeah, I tried my hardest. I wasn't on it tonight. Just kept making small mistakes all race and just kept lighting up the right rear the wrong times, making a chicane out of my car at turn 4 half the time.
Yeah, we did see your hauler roll into the pit area a little late tonight. Maybe not have the time to make adjustments on that race car.
Yeah, just showed up a little late, but figured I'd run, have some fun.
Well, Jeffrey, we're glad to have you. As any podium finish here tonight with us, there's got to be some people behind you that are making this operation possible.
I just want to thank everyone that supports me, Napa, Wham, Jeffrey Toy Closet, Burning Rubber Radio, Cool Shirt, Condon Motorsports, Farbo Motorsports, Farlow Motorsports, Racing Electronics, everyone that helps me, just everyone that supports me all over the years, everyone that's helped. To you guys for broadcasting, Spike Chassis for supporting the series.
That is your third place finisher, Jeffrey Stanton. Jeffrey, congrats on the podium finish tonight. We look to see you in 2 weeks. We will have off next week for Christmas Day, so we look to see you back on the dirt at Lanier Speedway.
I don't know if I'll make it. I'm wicked busy around this time of year. I'm doing a lot of other things around this time of year, so I'll try to make it, but we'll see.
Maybe not too hungover come New Year's Day.
Yeah, I don't know about that now.
That is your third place finisher, Jeffrey Stanton. Ryan, let's go ahead and take a minute and run through our lineup. Or my apologies, our finishing order. Coming across first with tonight's JSRL Spike Chassis feature win, it is the 47 of Dan Smith. Finishing second behind him, his teammate, the 12 of Jason Brown. My apologies. Third, and on the podium, we spoke with him, the number 44 of Jeffrey Stanton. 4th through 8th look like this. Dan Holmes, who may take over tonight's points lead. Jim Vig in 5th. Rich Foreman 6th. David Flick 1 lap down in 7th. And your only DNF on the night, the 9 of Alex Oriens, who crashed out with about 30 laps to go.
Well, fellas, great job as always. A dominating performance, though, from Dan Smith. He's kind of ruined the fun. We've had a lot of really, really good races, and not that it wasn't a good race. There was some good racing back through the pack, but man, what a dominating run for Mr. Dan Smith. And Brett, you've got some final sponsors and people that you would like to thank that make our effort possible here at the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series, my friend.
Again, we thank everybody for being a part of this operation, and we couldn't do it without you. First and foremost, we'd like to thank Spike Chassis, located in Brownsburg, Indiana. Spike Chassis manufactures championship-winning open-wheel, midget, wing, and non-wing sprint cars. In addition, Spike Chassis offers large inventory of open-wheel parts, race car setup, fabrication, and machine shop services for all your winning needs. Check out #WinWithSpike or find them on the web at www.spikechassis.com. Also a part of the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series, Sam Pierce Chevrolet. The best Chevy deals are in the country. Visit sampierchevrolet.com to check out their inventory. Big thank you going out to Kenny's Components. Kenny's Components specializes in design consultation, engineering, production, and custom fabrication to meet your exact specifications and needs. Using advanced composites such as carbon fiber, Kevlar, and fiberglass, Kenny's is dedicated to building high-quality composite products for all type of racing machines. Find them on the web at www.kennyscomponents.com. Last but not least, we'd like to send a big thank you out to Hoosier Tire Midwest. Hoosier Tire Midwest Incorporated is the largest Hoosier racing tire distributor in the United States, serving the Midwest through warehouses in Indianapolis and Plymouth, Indiana, and Springfield, Illinois. From drag strips, road courses, and oval tracks, dirt and asphalt, sprint cars, midgets, late models, and even street cars, Hoosier Tire Midwest has winning tires for all your needs. Check them out on the web at www.racetires.com.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brett Strickler, and thanks to all of our sponsors that make our broadcast possible. Thanks to all of our drivers for competing, spending some of their time out here on the pavement tonight in New Smyrna, Florida. Thanks to all of you for watching with the JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series. KR Stolfus, Brett Strickler, you guys have anything before we wrap this one up, my friends?
Man,
Not much to say here, Ryan. Just KR jumping in on the spotlight here, but I'm going to leave this one to KR.
I tell you what, we did 100 laps here. We had 2 cautions, and that was in the sprint car. These things are a beast to control. These guys managed to hold their own and do a fantastic job in controlling and putting down a heck of a race.
Until we meet again, a Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy holidays. Just a week away from Christmas. But after that, the week after, we'll be back on the dirt at Lanier. We've got 4 rounds left to determine our 2017-18 JSRL Spike Chassis Sprint Car Series champion. Until then, for our entire broadcast crew, Mr. Brett Strickler and KR Stolfus, I'm Ryan Kent Jr. Till then, so long. Good night from New Smyrna Speedway.
Cars going to be going to battle at the Big E. House that Earl built, Eldora Speedway. Oh, here we go. This is going to get interesting, KR. Al Smith and Ryan Pace decided to go up top. Alex and Ray went second to the bottom, and there comes Al back down on the bottom.
I'd say that there are some people that are just getting a little too excited. Their Thunderfoot's affecting their brake foot, and man, somebody forgot to connect a brain in there.
4 wide into turn 1 there, KR. You're right, cars everywhere. Randy Hannigan looking strong down on the bottom, side by side into 1 with Billy Weiss. 2 real-life racers here showing you, man, this is an awesome B-main, KR.
With a quick time of a 16.723.
We've seen Ryan fishing line, cast line. Ray Farlow's still committed to that bottom, and he's looking to take the lead here in 3 and 4. Bruce Jones sitting there just waiting to capitalize on a mistake by either one of those two. Here they come, coming off turn 4, side by side. It looks like maybe Fred Lampella, the legend, has went up top, and he's going to see if he can get that top coming in, KR.
He has, and he's not the only one that's running the high side. Many of them are working their way to that high side.
earlier today in practice, you know, the track slicked off a little bit. And
Tell me about it, TJ. What happened out there, man?
Well, it was a pretty good race by me. I was a little worried after qualifying. Looked like I was definitely lacking some speed. So to find a little bit there in the heat race felt pretty good. Just didn't have anything for Vinny.
We seen KR mentioned, I missed it, but Billy Weiss got into the back of you down the main straightaway there. What was all that about?
Oh, I don't know. He's driving his car and I'm driving mine, but I seem to be in front.
I love it! I love it! And look at some of the names there. We got USAC star and midget, real life USAC and midget star Billy Weiss sitting right there, quick time here in the warm-up session. Oh, Randy Hannigan, another real life racer, man. Randy the Hurricane Hannigan just knocked him off for that top time here in the hot lap session. For a couple pace laps before we go green. There is listen that KR Porky Pig. At any rate, man, two names are missing tonight.
Yeah, they are. Who you
We're
thinking?
missing. I'm thinking Joe Quinn and Vinny Sassoon.
That's exactly who I was thinking. Man, as we do this, our
Jeffrey the Jet Stanton is out of. I know where he's out of, but I'm drawing a blank here.
Did I say that right? It's, you know what? It's the 360s at Eldora, Dan. I just got kicked out of iRacing.
Yeah,
my throughput is very performance orientated.
Oh, my wife let me drink my moonshine out of a cup instead of the jar, so I'm feeling a little sophisticated.
Now, you know what? That's what makes this fun, because neither one of us really should be doing this.
Finally, the most truthful thing